Hey, thank you for being with us today. And I'm excited to talk about the difference about being a leader versus being a boss. And I just want to declare it from the very beginning, be a leader and not a boss. And that may just be semantics for some people, but I think there's a fundamental difference. And as you are building your business, you want to have intentionality and clarity and what it means for you to be the leader you're meant to be in your business and not just a boss. See, when you start hiring a team, it's easy to fall into this trap and thinking and acting like a boss. And sometimes people will think, well, I've hired you. Now just go do what I tell you to do, and just go do your job, right? And there's almost this, you should be lucky that I even hired you for this position kind of attitude. And honestly, that's just a recipe for disaster. And so I want to encourage you to think just a little bit differently. See, being a boss is not motivating. It's not motivating for team members, and it's not motivating for the business owner. And it comes across demanding and demeaning. And really, let's all be honest, nobody likes demanding people or demeaning people. See, if you want to maximize the efforts of your team, you got to be a leader. And more specifically, I want to suggest to you that you need to be a servant leader. Now, exactly what does that mean can be a whole series unto itself about being a servant leader. See, I don't think this just applies to being a business owner. I honestly believe being a servant leader should apply to every area of our lives. But it's where we leverage our influence as leaders to serve other people. So yes, you're the business owner, and yes, you're hiring somebody to join your team, but even in that moment, you're a servant leader. Now, I think that this will apply to teams that are both on site, and maybe you're hiring or leading a remote or virtual team. And whether that team is on site or whether that team is remote, either way, you're called to be a servant leader. And being a servant leader is a game changer. And I want to share with you some things that I think are very important. See, servant leaders bring out the best in their team. Whether that team is, again, on site or remote, they're bringing out the best. And I believe there are three things that set servant leaders apart. And so let's talk about those today. So number one, if the thing that sets a servant leader apart is servant leaders believe the best in their team. They believe the best in other people. They don't assume the worst. See, bosses assume the worst. I can't trust people. They're not going to be on time. They're not going to do the job the way that I want them to. But servant leaders aren't like that. Servant leaders are going to walk in this pathway of just assuming the worst in other people. So I teach a lot about relationships in various contexts, and I submit that every relationship has a gap in it, right? And so when that relationship has a gap in it, we choose to fill that gap with one of two things. We either fill the gap up with trust, or we fill the gap up with suspicion. And so as a servant leader, we want to believe the best in other people and fill that gap up with trust. And so if you're going to be a servant leader, believe the best in other people and fill your relational gaps with trust. Number two is that a servant leader treats their team with respect. If you're going to be a true servant leader and more than just a boss, you're going to bring respect to the table. I see too many business owners who hire, let's say, remote or virtual team members, and then they treat them like outsiders, literally outsiders of their organization. Now, maybe that remote worker or that virtual assistant has several other businesses that they're serving. But just because they're serving several other businesses doesn't mean they deserve to be mistreated or disconnected from your team. So don't treat a remote or virtual team member like they are disconnected from your business. Treat them like they are an important part of your business and deserve the utmost respect as anybody as on your on-site team would do. See, they're vital to your growth strategy in your business, and they deserve that respect. So treat them with respect as true members of your team. Servant leaders, number 3, also give their team freedom to make mistakes. See, the greatest learning opportunities come from our failures, and so we have to give our team an opportunity to make mistakes. And I really encourage that if you're going to be a servant leader, you can't micromanage. I submit bosses micromanage. And so don't be a micromanager. Don't expect your team to do everything exactly the way that you would do it. Give them freedom and give them empowerment. And when you do that, you're giving them the freedom to make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and be more productive for you in your business for the long haul. And so I want to really encourage you today to look at these 3 things that it takes to be a servant leader. And I really want to ask you, are you believing the best in your team right now? Are you treating your team with respect? And are you giving them freedom to make mistakes? And if you're doing those 3 things, then you are on your way to being a servant leader. And that, my friend, is way better than being a boss. And so I really want to encourage you. Servant leaders, they're supposed to shine. I think servant leaders shine, and they cause other people around them to shine. Bosses, they shrink. They shrink potential and possibility in their team, and they shrink potential and possibility in their business. And I don't want you to shrink. I want to encourage you. Don't shrink. It's time to shine. It's time to shine in your business. It's time to shine in this year and accomplish more than you ever thought you could. I say every week or every month when we do these blogs that you are meant to do more than just survive. You are meant to thrive. And so as you begin to shine and thrive in your business, I believe it will be the best year you've ever had. Hey, if this blog or this video has spoke to you and you have an entrepreneurial friend or business owner, sales professional that you think this might have some value to, I would encourage you to share this and send it over to them. And if you're not a member of our Facebook group, Entrepreneurs Who Get Results, I want to encourage you to go to Facebook and just search that, Entrepreneurs Who Get Results, and join our Facebook group where we can have all kinds of conversations and opportunities to bring value to each other. So again, thank you and have a great day, and be the servant leader you're meant to be.